Common note number 6. Divine Quran fully accepts concept of rebirth of living beings. A. It is surprising that concept of rebirth has been widely denied contrary to the clear provisions of the Divine Quran. The following verses which are relevant on the subject of rebirth are set out below. B. Verse number 28 of chapter 2 states, "How can a person deny Allah's Creator's existence and belief in Him? Kafuruna. Person was lifeless. He gave him life. He will cause him to die and again bring him to life. He may call a person to himself." Comments: The above verse is a clear proof that Quran accepts the concept of rebirth. The above verse commences on the assumption that a person has died. This means that the said person was living earlier. Thereafter, that person takes a birth. This is called rebirth. After rebirth, that person dies in course of time. This process of death and rebirth continues till finally the person has to appear before Allahi Creator on the Day of Judgment. Verse number 85 of chapter 2 states, "On the doomsday, some persons will be sent back to earth." 2. Verse number 27 of chapter 3 states, "He causes new life for the dead." 3. Verse number 32 of chapter 4 states, "Every man and every woman has been bestowed benefits in accordance with his past actions deeds. Therefore, do not covet or feel jealous if someone has been given more." Comments: The above verse is a clear proof of the Quran recognizing principle of rebirth and compensation according to the work action done. In the face of this verse, it is not arguable that Mohammedanism does not accept the concept of rebirth. 4. Verse number 61 of chapter 6 states, "When death draws near anyone, his angels take hold of the soul, wafathu, and the person dies." Verse number 62 of chapter 6 states, "Thereafter, persons are sent to Allahu Creator, their Master. He is the fastest in arriving at the judgment in taking account." Comments: The two verse numbers 61 and 62 of chapter 6 give an indication that these verses are dealing with individuals. The soul of an individual is taken hold of by an angel. The soul of dead person is sent to Rabbi Creator, and he quickly deals with the judgment. The above two verses give an indication as if Rabbi Creator is also dealing with individual cases after death. Day of Judgment has been made inapplicable. The verse shows that rebirth is ordered by Rabbi Creator. These verses deal with the soul of an individual only. These verses do not deal with the Day of Judgment. 6. Verse number 30 of chapter 10 states, "The souls of the persons will be informed about what they had committed to Allahi Creator while the man was on earth." 7. Verse number 32 of chapter 10 states, "Allahu Creator is the only one in whom they should have belief. They should not do any wrong." The said persons were turned back to earth. Comments: Verse numbers 30 and 32 of chapter 10 may be read together. The inference to be drawn is clearly in favor of a rebirth. 8. Verse number 64 of chapter 19 states, "As and when Rabbik Creator commands them, those in Jannat, they go down to earth." Comments: The above verse is clearly in favor of rebirth. 9. Verse number 124 of chapter 20 states, He who does not follow the guidance reminder will have a strained life. On the day of resurrection judgment, he will be made blind. Kiss Smiley verse number 125 of chapter 20 states, he will ask Rabbi Creator as to why he has made him blind when earlier he could see. 11. Verse number 126 of chapter 20 states, he will answer by saying that he had ignored the guidance though he could read and know them. 12. Verse number 127 of chapter 20 states, this is one way of punishing those who do not follow the verses of the revelation sent by Rabbi Creator and are thus violators of the revelation and disbelievers thereof. Punishment of hereafter is more severe and will last for longer. Comments, verse numbers 124 to 127 of chapter 20 may be read together. A conjoint reading of these verses shows that the man will undergo the punishment of birth as a blind person on earth. It is here that he was to be disabled from making further errors. It may be noted that on the day of judgment, only the soul has to face Allahi Creator for the compensation for good or bad deeds. Eyes may have very little role to play on the day of judgment. Made him blind will refer to his rebirth on earth as a blind person. 13. Verse number 66 of chapter 22 states, Allahi Creator has created man. Rabbikum Creator may cause man's death also. He brings them back to life. 14. Verse number 2 of chapter 37 states, in the names of those who have gone away after reprimand. Comments, this verse is unique in Divine Quran. For the first and the last time, the expression, those who have gone away after reprimand, has been used. This expression has a clear implication that after resurrection, on the day of judgment some persons have to be pulled up for their faults while they were on earth and thereafter they would be sent back to earth. Obviously, this could have been possible upon their rebirth. 15. Verse number 11 of chapter 40 states, they will say in repentance that he had them twice killed and twice he causes their rebirth. They therefore prayed for taking them out from the cycle of death and birth. 16. Verse number 47 of chapter 53 states, so that Wallahu Creator can replace them by others looking like them. Billahi Creator will cause their birth in a form about which they may not have any knowledge. 17. Verse number 56 of chapter 56 states, this regime they have to follow as compensation punishment. 18. Verse number 61 of chapter 56 states, so that Wallahu Creator can replace them by others looking like them. Rabbana Creator may cause their birth in a form about which they may not have any knowledge. Comments, verse numbers 56 and 61 of chapter 56 may be read together. These verses are clearly in favor of rebirth. 19. Verse number 19 of chapter 92 states, no one has any blessing for which he could be rewarded. XX, verse number 20 of chapter 92 states, he has to work in order to obtain Billahi's Creator's pleasure. Wallahu Creator is great. Comments, verse numbers 19 and 20 of chapter 92 cited above show that everyone has to work for his way up. Rabbi Allahi Creator will not cause a person to be born in a king's family and another person to be born without both legs. 21. Verse number 95 of chapter 2 states, certainly they will never wish for the gardens, because what they have been doing here will make them, these cruel people, liable to be on the earth for undergoing severest punishment. Wallahu Creator knows them well. Comments: this assumes that a person, soul, had a life in which he worked and acted in a certain way, and thereafter, as compensation, he gets another life to undergo or suffer the said compensation on earth. 22. Readers may also see verse number 202 of chapter 2, verse number 81 of chapter 26, verse number 64 of chapter 27, verse numbers 5, 23 of chapter 47, verse number 18 of chapter 71, verse number 8 of chapter 86. See, verse number 116 of chapter 3 states, for the disobedient in Minallahi Creator and not following the guidelines principles given in book, they are to be in hell to face the fire. D. Why this indifference of Mohammedans to correctly reading and understanding the divine Quran, particularly when many verses thereof lay down penalties? For example, only verse number 174 of chapter 2 states, those who hide or misinterpret any part of the revelation made in writing, book, will be swallowing the fire on the day of judgment.